Now what's he going to do? He's got the third! Oh, beautiful goal!
By the age of 23, Ronaldo had twice been voted World Player of the Year. But for most of the next 4 years following the '98 World Cup, serious injuries would curtail his brilliant career. However, during this dark period of his life, the humble Brazilian was more than happy to use his celebrity status for a good cause. It's fair to say that for the decade prior to Ronaldo's career-threatening knee injury, football had consumed his life. Despite his enforced convalescence, the star striker didn't hesitate to continue with his charity work. In February of 2000, a very proud Ronaldo received a rapturous reception when stepping out on stage in Geneva to become a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador. The previous September, he'd been in Kosovo to launch the global mobilization campaign, Teams to End Poverty, for the United Nations Development Programme. As an ambassador, he uses his celebrity status as often as possible to bring home the message that everyone can contribute to the fight against poverty.
Someone like Ronaldo, because of the hold he has on the imagination of such and dreams of such a large part of humankind in an age of global sports, he has an ability to focus attention on this problem in a way that few people from few walks of life can.
3 months after surgery, Ronaldo's recovery was progressing well. Under the supervision of physiotherapist Nilton Petroni, he endured a rigorous rehabilitation program in the mountains near Rio. Slowly but surely, the strength in his damaged knee gradually returned. He started running again, slow, tentative steps at first. Soon he was able to pull on a pair of boots for the first time since the operation. It was an important and morale-boosting moment. With the eyes of the world upon him, it was obvious the anguish and anxiety of this frustrating recovery period was disappearing. Knowing that a return to the game he loved was imminent, the boyish grin was back. Back in Europe a few weeks later, there was good news from his surgeon. It was time to rejoin his teammates at Inter Milan. More training and practice matches were needed to rediscover that magic touch, but within a month the world's best player was ready to make his long-awaited return to football. In the days leading up to his scheduled comeback, there was more good news when his wife Milena gave birth to a son. For Ronaldo, the dark clouds had lifted and the sun was shining again. After nearly 5 months out of action, Ronaldo jogged onto the pitch as a substitute in the Italian Cup final against Lazio. The months of painstaking and frustrating rehabilitation were suddenly a distant memory.
Ronaldo, there's that change of feet from Ronaldo!
6 minutes later, he launched one of his trademark weaving runs on goal, and then he fell to the ground, clutching his right knee, screaming in agony. Nobody could believe the tragic moment they'd just witnessed. When Ronaldo's knee collapsed, it was more than a blow for his club Inter Milan and his country, Brazil. The whole world felt his pain. The next day, he flew to Paris for an examination by the same specialist who'd operated on his knee the previous November. Shielded by security guards, he hobbled into the Salpêtrière hospital through a crowd of waiting reporters. The diagnosis wasn't good. In fact, it was horrific. He'd torn the tendon in his right knee and would be away from the game for at least several months. As word spread of the latest and perhaps saddest chapter in Ronaldo's young career, some began to question whether the two-time Player of the Year would ever return to football. The career of the heir apparent to the legendary Pelé was at the crossroads. 10 days after surgery, a dejected Ronaldo faced the world's press.
I feel disillusioned after 5 long, hard months of work. All the desire I had of returning to the field, all the hard training, everything has been thrown away after just 5 minutes of a match. And no one can understand the reason for my injury.
Nessuno può capire il motivo di questo infortunio.
A month later in Brazil, he was able to walk without crutches but was obviously still in pain. At yet another press conference, he said that there was little he could do apart from wait for the wound to heal, then begin rehabilitation.
Hoje em dia, a medicina
Today, medicine can offer me a great chance of being as good a player as I was before, maybe even better. I have no doubt that I will continue playing, and I will return to the same level I was at before this injury. I also know that I will play again for the Brazilian national team.
A period of rest was followed by a strenuous training schedule involving 3 hours of physical therapy in the gym, followed by an hour of on-pitch training and 2 hours exercising in the pool. The long, painful road to recovery only heightened talk of a premature retirement. There was speculation that even if he did come back, he would never be the player of old. But in Ronaldo's darkest hour, a visit from one of the World Games legends gave him inspiration.
I started to believe in my recovery after Pelé visited my home for a talk. He reminded me about the injury he suffered at the 1966 World Cup in England. At the time, many doctors told him that he might not play again. But after a year and a half, he came back and Brazil won the 1970 World Cup. So these stories, this one in particular, gives me extra motivation not to give up and to keep fighting so I can get back to my best.
Although out of the game and the limelight, Ronaldo remained dedicated to his role as a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations. On this occasion in France, he teamed up with Zinedine Zidane to launch a campaign to support the world's disadvantaged children. Of course, the media were eager for news of his progress on the comeback trail. When would he be back? Ronaldo couldn't give them a definite answer. More than 8 months after the injury occurred, the Inter Milan striker stepped onto a pitch in Rio de Janeiro for his first light training session with a football. Jogging under the hot sun and the eagle eye of his physiotherapist, Ronaldo appeared to have no problem with the knee. Although the signs were positive and he was moving well, there was little chance of a return to top-flight football for several months. 12 months would pass before Ronaldo commenced light training with Inter Milan. Naturally, after missing a whole season, he was rusty, but competitive practice matches gave him the chance to fine-tune the skills that had elevated him to legendary status. But it was another 5 months before the star striker finally reappeared in an Inter Milan shirt. After playing just 6 minutes of football in 18 months, he came on as a substitute in September of 2001 and played the last 30 minutes of Inter's UEFA Cup tie against the Romanian team Brasov. The 26-year-old's competitive juices were flowing again. Now he was looking forward to more regular action. He even wanted to be considered for the Brazilian team. More than 2 years had passed since Ronaldo had scored a goal in Serie A, but when he did, it was a special moment. In the blink of an eye, the greatest footballer of our generation erased any doubts that his career might be over.
Ronaldo, that's his trademark, and so goes the finish. What a story.
Structurally, his knee was in good shape, but the comeback was difficult and frustrating for the injury-plagued striker. A series of muscle injuries in quick succession interrupted his progress and hampered a return to top form. At the start of 2002, he returned to Brazil, where a team of 8 professionals spent a month effectively rebuilding the stricken star. This time, it worked. In March of 2002, he played his first international for Brazil in 2.5 years. With the World Cup just a few months away, the sight of Ronaldo in a Brazilian shirt was exactly what the fans wanted to see. Injury-free, he was ready to strike back. After Brazilian coach Felipe Scolari announced that Ronaldo was in their World Cup squad, the countdown that the entire football population of the world had been waiting for commenced. After 5 different operations on his right knee and more than 4 years of pain, sweat and tears, the superstar was ready to exorcise the demons of France '98. In part 3, this living legend adds another chapter to his brilliant career.
What's he going to do? He's got